The Dhamma sermon is delivered by the pioneer and chairperson of United Bhikkhuni Sangha International Parishad Sri Lanka, chairperson Sri Sangamitha Foundation, the editor of Therini newspaper and meditation teacher Venerable Maharagama Uppalawanna Theri.
Samanta Chakkavalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddammang Munirajasa Sunantu Sagga Mokkadang Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta. Homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. May Ratanatraya bless you all. Theruvan Saranai. Good day for you all. Dhamma friends. Today I am going to talk about something very tasty. Something delicious. You may think what it is. Yes, that is about a honey ball. Honey ball. Where have you found honey? And how it has become honey ball? Let's see. Where you can find this honey ball? You can find this honey ball in Tripitaka, the Majjhima Nikaya, Madhu Pindika Sutta. Madhu means honey. So, this is a story about a honey ball. Do you like to hear that? Yes. This story has been taken from Majjhima Nikaya, Madhu Pindika Sutta. One occasion, the Blessed One, the Buddha, living in the Sakyan country. What do you mean by Sakyan country? Sakyan country is the Kapilavastu. That means the Buddha's, the Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha's country where he was born. And while living there, there's a thick jungle called Great Wood. The Buddha, after the Pindapata or the Pindapata round, to rest a little, he came to this great wood, the jungle. While he was resting there under a bilva tree, bilva means, Sinhala you say belly, bilva sapling. There came a Brahman. You know, in India, Brahmans are against the Buddha. And this Brahman also not in favor of Buddha, not to know or learn anything or much of the Buddhism, but he wanted to come and just put a word or talk to the Buddha, not to learn Buddhism, but say sarcastically, he came there. He always carries a stick in his hand. So, because he is carrying this stick everywhere, he was called Dandapani. Danda means stick. Because he is carrying everywhere, the Brahman was named as Dandapani. So Dandapani came up to the Buddha who was resting in this great wood. And nothing about homage, no homage to the Buddha. Just as a friend, he talked to the Buddha. Dandapani asked the Blessed One, what does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? He has two questions. What are the two questions? What does the assert? And what does the recluse? That is how he addresses the Buddha. No homage there. No respect. And what does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? The questions are being put sarcastically. Then the Buddha replied like this. Friend, I assert and proclaim, that means my teaching. I proclaim in such a way that one does not quarrel with anyone. There you are, the Buddha's word. In this word, you can see the whole Buddhism is very harmless. It's full of metta feelings or loving kindness. This Dhamma is Buddhism. The Buddha's teaching is full of loving kindness feelings. Everywhere, what the message we takes from the Buddha to become friendly with everybody. Everybody. The Buddha said, Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Sabbe satta. Then we have to be friendly with everyone. We can't quarrel with anyone. And he says, I'm not going to quarrel with Devas, Maras, or Brahmas, or even any human and animals. We are very harmless people. I, as the teacher, and my disciples, all are very harmless people. We never harm anybody. You may remember now, I will take you to the Dhammapada words. Nahi verena verani sammanti cha kudachanam averena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanantano. The Buddha talks about the metta or the loving kindness. Nahi verena verani. Don't be angry with anybody. Nahi verena verani. If you are angry with anybody, it will never end. You have to put a full stop there. If you go on having grudge or anger in your mind, you will never fall it into a drop, or you can't end it. Therefore, so Buddha said, how do we get angry with somebody? It is because our sensual desires, our sensual pleasures, without properly shorn of worry, free from craving for any kind of being, free from craving. What is craving? In Pali we call it tanha. Craving, we have craving. That is why we always quarrelsome. We always think it's mine. It's me, it's mine, and it's my people. And if you have something, it's for my own people. This is greediness. If you have greed, then you will be fallen into troubles. Then anger comes through that. So the Dandapani was given the answer. What is the answer? I'm not going to quarrel with anybody. So I can be happy always. That is my teaching. When this was said, Dandapani, he's a Shakyan, very proud people. Shakyans are very proud people. He shook his head, wagged his tongue, and went off without paying any homage to the Buddha. You have to understand this, because many Brahmins come to the Buddha and they ask questions. Sometimes they agree with the Buddha, sometimes they are not. So this Dandapani also, he doesn't take much care of what the Buddha said, and he just went off. And in the evening, Buddha went to the temple, and when all the bhikkhus gathered there, the Buddha said them, Bhikkhave, that is how he addressed the bhikkhus, Bhikkhave, this afternoon, because it is after Pindapata, this afternoon, Dandapani the Brahmin, Shakyan, came. He came and asked me 2 questions. What are the 2 questions? What do you assert? What do you proclaim? And I told him what I assert. What do you assert? I have no grudge or anger with anybody. I am friendly with everyone. That is my teaching. And that is my asset also. So the Buddha said like this to the bhikkhus. This is a very, very short answer. Very short expression by the Buddha. So some of the bhikkhus couldn't understand. Sometimes it happens when the Buddha gives some sermons. Sometimes some bhikkhus who are not Sotapanna, Sakadagami or Anagami, who are not with fruits, can't understand. We say Putakjana, and not attain the Magga and Palas, the fruits. So they were puzzled. These bhikkhus are puzzled, and they were talking now. You know, this happens in a classroom also. After the teacher or the lecturer went off, sometimes children talk, oh, I didn't understand what the master said. I couldn't follow what he tried to tell us. I couldn't get the real message. So this happened to the same bhikkhus here. What should they do? They talked and they discussed. And they decided that they should go to Mahakachana Thero. Mahakachana Thero is one of the best bhikkhus who can preach Dhamma. And he gives sermons very nicely in a way. He explains very well. He can explain very well. And the Buddha has given him a title also, Mahakachana Thero. Everybody got together and they went up to the Kachana Thero. And they went and they called him. And they said, friend, Mahakachana, could you please help us? So the Kaccayana Thera asked, for what? To understand what the Buddha said. So Kaccayana Thera, okay friends, I will try my best to make you understand what the Buddha said. And now Mahakaccayana Thera is explaining them the meaning of the Buddha's words. Buddha gave the gist of this sermon, and now Mahakaccayana is going to explain it. And Mahakaccayana Thera says, you know, bhikkhus, when we see things through our eyes, we tend to like it. We tend to like it. So, we get the craving. So, we have to be away from this craving. So, just you have to think, imagine that you see, just you, I saw it, that's all. Don't go and involve more than that. And when you hear things through your ears, don't go and hang on it. Sometimes that is how you get quarrels. Sometimes when you hear, oh, that man is scolding me. I will teach him a lesson. That is how you start quarrels now. So, when you hear things, just think, oh, that's all. I just heard it and that's all. No more. I'm not going to give him an answer. If you go to give him answers, then that will become doubled, and then the scolding, that will become a big quarrel and big fight. And then again, Mahakaccayana Thera says, when you smell something, sometimes we get sweet smells, we like it. And if we get a bad smell, oh, very bad, some very bad smell. Whatever it is, good or bad, be moderate. Don't go into details. Just we smell it, that's all. And then what else? You taste something. This happens every time, no? Sometimes when we eat something, oh, it's very tasty. Very tasty. This curry is very tasty. In Sri Lanka, this jackfruit is very tasty. It's very famous. We always say, oh, very tasty. Oh, pineapple, very tasty. Like that. We go and cling on it. No, don't go that much. Just be there. Don't go and cling on to that. Don't think that I like it, I want it, like that. Because when you feel you like something, then you want to have it. You need it. Some more. That is craving. That is what this Kaccayana Thera explaining what the Buddha said in a gist. And then the tongue. We talked about the tongue, the taste. Tongue and the taste. Don't go to the deviations. That's what the Buddha said. Be there, just be there. And then the body. Your body. Your body, sometimes we have very smooth. We get very smooth. When we wear a very smooth sari or a shirt, sometimes we feel, oh, it's very light. I like it. It's very nice. I like it. It's very colorful. Oh, all my friends like it. So, I like it. That's craving. Don't go into deviations. And body. And then the mind. There you are. Again we came to mind. The mind is great, and everywhere the mind gets the first out of all the things. The mind and the mind thoughts. Right. So when you go to mind, don't get the mind thoughts and the anger, jealousy, craving, or such mind thoughts. If you get mind thoughts like that, then you will be in for trouble. And if you are out of this liking and hating, sometimes we like something, sometimes we hate something. If you don't go to deviate, and if you can be moderate without going into liking and without going into hating, then you are free from all these defilements. And you are very happy. You are very happy too. That is what the Buddha told Dandapani. But that Dandapani couldn't understand that, because he couldn't understand. Because he is not a person who would like to take things or learn things from the Buddha. But when he came back to the bhikkhus and he gave this message to the bhikkhus, they learnt it. And they couldn't understand when the Buddha gave the gist, and they went to Kaccayana Thero, and Kaccayana Thero gave a nice explanation. So see what a good pupil Mahakaccayana Thera of the Buddha. So all these bhikkhus now they understood very well, and they were really satisfied, and they went back to the Buddha. And once they got back to the Buddha, they said, Most Venerable Sir, our Master, what you told us in the evening we couldn't understand. So we went to Kaccayana Thero, and we invited him to give us an explanation of what you gave us in the evening. And he gave us a very nice explanation. And they told the Buddha what Kaccayana Thero said. And the Buddha was so pleased. And the Buddha said, if I were there, I also would have been telling you the same things that Kaccayana Thero told you. My son Kaccayana is a very well learned person. He is a Pandit. That's how the Buddha praised Kaccayana Thero. That is a very good thing in a teacher. I always find the Buddha as a wonderful teacher. I always pay my homage him as a teacher because he is such a nice person. He, wherever, to whomever, he makes him understand what his teaching is. So, my Dhamma friends, I think that you all got this, the meaning of honey ball. And late in the evening, when Ananda Thero came to the Buddha and talked about this incident, about Mahakaccayana Thero's Dhamma preaching, he said, it's like a honey ball given to a very hungry, weak person, and he will taste it. He will welcome it happily, and he will be satisfied with that. What shall we call this sutta, Venerable Sir? Then the Buddha said, okay, Ananda. Then we'll call it honey ball. So that is how the honey ball sutta got its name. So my Dhamma friends, time is up, and you can read this sutta, honey ball, in Majjhima Nikaya and get more Dhamma and learn. So today I'm going to wind up here, and let's share our merits with Devas. Akasata ca Bhummata Devanaga Mahiddika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Loka Sasanang. Akasata ca Bhummata Devanaga Mahiddika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Dhamma Desanang. Akasata ca Bhummata Devanaga Mahiddika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Mang Paranti.
The Dhamma sermon was delivered by the pioneer and chairperson of United Bhikkhuni Sangha International Parshad Sri Lanka, chairperson Sri Sanghamita Foundation, the editor of Therini newspaper and meditation teacher Venerable Maharagama Uppalawanna Theri.